letting these votes roll in, I would love to take this opportunity to say thank you, Alan and Angel, for coming. And if you want to let us know, maybe take a couple seconds to let us know what each of you guys do, and you want to, just let us know, what you guys do and what you're kind of going to dive into today. That'd be awesome. So
Sure. Thanks so much, Kelsey. Thanks for everybody for joining us. We're really excited to do this. I'll tell you what, we started discussing doing a session like this months back prior to everyone being working from home. And as you can see, we're very much working out of our living rooms and side offices and things. So that being said, this is really exciting, and Angel and I are very, very happy to be doing this today. What we've got planned is we'll talk about some of the background of what Amazon advertising is all about. We're going to explain some of the nuances between how folks go about not listing products, but advertising and driving the acceleration of purchase of those products. And so we've got a number of detail around that. Just to give you some background, my name's Alan Amerault. I joined Amazon a little over 2 years ago to launch this team. We're a brand new team to Amazon. And really our remit is, it's around active education and activation of advertisers within our business. And so what that means is we're a team of 11 now. We go and speak to entrepreneurs, upstart vendors and sellers, and also folks that don't necessarily sell a product on Amazon to educate on what our products do. And we'll go ahead and discuss a bit more detail on that. My background has been digital advertising for about 16, 17 years now. Started when pay-per-click marketing was the new thing, when Google really launched AdWords. And I've just been a part of performance advertising ever since. So very excited to be here today. And Angel, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Alan. So hi, everyone. My name is Angel To. So I've been at Amazon for 3 years now. Started the Amazon career as an account manager. So what I've been really focused on in the beginning was working with our existing advertisers and thinking about ways to drive performance. So let's say that you are a Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble and you're advertising with us. I'm really diving into the analytics and the data to be like, who's the right customer? What are the types of placements? What's the bid strategy to really help you drive more sales and more traffic? Since then, I had an opportunity to join Alan's team. So that was 2 years ago, and basically broadened my scope a little bit more. So a lot more involved in talking to either vendors and sellers on Amazon around business objectives. So, the discussions that I have, it's not limited to just marketing. It's because we understand that advertising and the retail piece of Amazon are closely connected. So, I talk to them about, what's your objective on Amazon? What are you doing outside of Amazon? And trying to find solutions with Amazon advertising to align and basically solve whatever challenges that they have. My background is in advertising. So before joining Amazon, I was actually in the agency space, worked on the Ford Lincoln account. So I really like cars. So I spent a lot of time working on that business. And I have a pretty good understanding of media planning, creative strategy, and messaging. So look forward to meeting all of you today. So if you have any questions around Amazon advertising or any questions around, an overarching strategy where you can actually include Amazon into it, we can definitely chat more. And we're going to leave our emails as well. So feel free to connect with us after the session today.
Yeah. So I guess I can take a second just to kind of share the poll here so everyone has an understanding of, how many of us here are actually selling on Amazon, advertising on Amazon right now, and those of us that are selling. So I'm going to share those results with everybody. You see, so it looks like about, four of us here now are currently selling on Amazon, but most of us aren't. So there's 8 that are not. So kind of interesting. And I've seen a little bit of it looks like the chat is popping off here. We've got a lot of really different industries here. So some cool results to kind of lead us into the conversation today. So with that, I'm going to hop on mute for the rest of today's session, but so everybody here knows, I'll kind of pull all the questions that end up in the chat and share those with Alan and Angel here near the end. But yeah, feel free to pop questions in there, or I can get you guys in touch later. And with that, I'll let you share your screen, Angel.
Sounds good. I'm just gonna share that. And just a quick comment. I know that in the poll we talked about I think maybe like a 60-40 split or 70-30 split around people selling on Amazon and people who are not. The content that we have prepared today is relevant, and you'll see in a few slides with what Alan's going to talk about, that our advertising products can fit and have solutions for both sellers and non-sellers. So don't worry, we're gonna have content that will cover for both types of audiences. Oops. And Alan, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Angel. Okay, everybody. Well, we kind of set a bit of the tone for today, but again, our mission today is to answer questions, to give an introduction into a lot of the products and services that we provide. And we've already introduced ourselves, but just so you have a better idea of us within the context. So our business group, like I said, it's about, we're 11 here in Canada, but we are a global group. And so the point of that is, as I discussed, the fact that we focus on education and activation of advertisers onto the platform, we have teams like ours throughout North America, all over the US, we have a number of different European teams. We've got a large group in China now that is helping to activate third-party sellers. And so we're really, though an emerging group, and we focus on emerging accounts, this has become a very large part of our Amazon business. And so that being said, Angel, let's talk about what the plan for today is in a bit more detail. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about the progression in Canada and give you all a little bit more context as to what we're seeing and the landscape. And then Angel's going to speak more directly to a lot of the ad products, which should be able to help everybody first and foremost answer questions as to what can I do given the context of the products or services that I sell or offer, and how can Amazon accelerate that. So that being said, Angel, let's start in on our next slide here. One of the most fundamental pieces that I realized when coming to Amazon was it was very well kind of a foregone conclusion that people understood what this meant, and I found it odd because I had no idea. So there's really two types of advertisers as we define them. The first would be what we call an endemic advertiser. The easiest way to explain this is this is a business that sells a product, whether they're a vendor or third-party seller. They sell a product on the e-commerce store. And so the reason that's important is because endemic advertisers within Amazon, they can really leverage a lot of our sales data. As you can imagine, from an advertiser perspective, we both list the product, we can advertise for it, we can drive a user to search for or view a detail page on that product and then purchase. And as a result of that, we can tell you very specifically how well your advertising campaigns drove the purchase or acceleration of that product. On the other side, what's a very important piece for us as a growing advertising business is the non-endemic side. So imagine an Air Canada or a Cineplex or financial institutions that are looking for larger branding and consideration. They leverage us as a non-endemic advertiser. So obviously they don't have a product or service available on Amazon. This is something we speak about endemic and non-endemic all the time, and it definitely helps to keep that lens. Okay. And then here is our quickly, rapidly developing team. What started actually as myself and Angel 2 years ago, she was the first AE in our group, has really been growing since then. We are now a team of 11, and I'm going through planning stages for early 2021 growth. And what you see here, we'll share this with you. In fact, this picture needs to be adjusted going into the second half of this year a bit. But what you see here are all the account executives on our team. They all possess specific expertise across a variety of verticals. And the reason that we've organized that way is because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of in-house data that we possess, a lot of category insights, a lot of specifics to how benchmarks and performance within a number of different categories is for you as a endemic or non-endemic advertiser. And so we have folks that are really dig in on that and can provide better clarity. So this is that group. Again, as you work with Angel and I, we will happily move folks as they're starting their journey within our advertising products. We will happily connect you with the account executive that can really assist in that way. The next piece that I wanted to talk about is the real excitement around what's happening within Amazon in Canada. Full disclosure, I'm American. I've been in Canada about 10 years now. And I remember excitement in 1997 around Amazon.com and first and foremost purchasing books online with our Pentium 90, what would we call it, a tower PC. And at that time, Amazon was only selling books. The progression within Canada has taken a bit of a later emergence here. But as you can see from this graphic, what we like to show is just how rapidly we're developing from the perspective of categories, and as well as you can see in 2018, we enabled a number of additional fulfillment centers. What that does, more fulfillment centers means we stock more product and we can get it to you faster. And so the progression here is really around how Canadian shoppers are leveraging Amazon in Canada, because from a perspective of what's available, product parity, what can I really find within the Canadian space and the Canadian site, that is really changing dramatically. And I think it's also, we'll talk more about this, but this is a really exciting piece of our business as a advertising team, because we're enabling new and emerging categories that are really starting to find a lot of open runway with regards to having their products seen and sold. On the next slide, there's a real fundamental shift that occurred between 2017 and 2018. Also coincides beautifully with the emergence of myself and Angel's team. Up until 2017, most Canadian shoppers were leveraging the .com site or the American site from the perspective of what can I get. Product selection and availability was better on the .com site. We also had a little bit of better parity with the Canadian dollar, and so you'd see that sales, not until 2018 did we surpass the .com sales on the .ca site. So all that means is that we finally got the formula together, and we've started to really achieve. We really started to build a comprehensive and really effective e-commerce store for Canadians to get products they want quickly within prime shipping window at good prices. And so this is a very exciting, really exciting element of that. And we've really, I know you've got a build here, Angel. Again, a lot of this coincides with our emergence of Prime. We've really been able to enable how we pull product and source product to Canada, which has been really great. And that goes really well with the next concept I wanted to just talk about, which is the difference between showrooming and web rooming. I don't know if this is common knowledge to everybody. This is something that we talk a lot about within Amazon. But for those that don't know, showrooming is when a consumer visits a store and then goes back and buys that online. They leverage a retail outlet to, touch and feel the product, to get a feel for what they want to buy, and then they'll go back later and source a cheaper price or do their research that way. Web rooming is the opposite. We research online, we find availability, and then we ultimately go and buy in store. Now, when we look at the difference between Canadian behavior and American behavior, Canadians really prefer web rooming. And there's a number of reasons for that that we would put forward. One is convenience. Canadians love to price compare. There's the ability to minimize risk and time in being able to, not only do the research ahead of time and then select and feel and obtain the right product at the right time. But there's also the thought around volume and availability of retailers. So again, full disclosure, I'm American. There are niche retailers throughout the states that cater to deep specific categories. And in Canada, just being a smaller locale, we don't have necessarily the same breadth and coverage. So what that means is that that the Canadians really leverage this concept of web rooming. And so all that being said, we've got, so the kind of pieces that are coming together here is we've really built product parity with the .com site. We've got Canadians who prefer to shop in behaviorally the way that Amazon can supply that kind of visibility. And then we've also got a growing e-commerce business that has really started to tip the scale as of 2018. And we recognize that this is likely to continue to grow in a similar trajectory. We're estimating by 2023 a $55 billion industry. This slide existed before we all found ourselves working from home and under various degrees of government-issued restriction and shutdown. And so we're not here to talk about COVID impact or what this means for the business, but I can tell you that things are shifting very dramatically. And what Amazon is trying to do is maintain and keep up with where customer demand is and how can we ensure that we're supplying those products to folks that need them and want them. Okay. Talked a little bit about Canada, but you can see how quickly things are evolving here. And what that also means, in addition to the fact that my own team is staffing and growing to meet advertiser demand, in addition to providing product parity across the e-commerce channel, what it also means, onto the next slide, Angel, is that we're really in a stage of development and learning how to get this model right. And so there are a variety of different ways that we at Amazon look at this. Again, Amazon is over 500,000 people in terms of when you look at the full scope of the Amazon business and fulfillment centers and whatnot. Within the Canadian business, we have a lot of different arms that work in coordination, both from advertising to our retail arm. Retail is the team responsible for sourcing product, negotiating with vendors, and ensuring that we've got what you all need and what you want to buy. And so with that comes questions around our North American fulfillment network, which is a whole nother discussion that we're happy to have on how some products can be sourced from the States in order to ensure Canadian consumers can get the right thing. We're developing and furthering our product parity, like we said, with the US and the EU. We're building additional Amazon teams and resources, and then our advertising group is really rapidly developing. And I'm excited by, again, going from Angel and myself 2 years ago to a team of 11, likely to become a team considerably larger as we run into the next fiscal year. And the reason that we focus so intently on that is because, and kind of part of my whole message this morning, is that there is so much opportunity with regards to building consideration and awareness of your products and services on Amazon. So if you think about it, my team is speaking to the large majority of advertisers that have considerable campaigns running within Amazon. And I can tell you that's a small number. It's a rapidly growing number. But when it comes to the biggest challenge I would encourage everyone to think about today, it's not about just simply brand awareness and consideration of what you offer. It's about, do Canadian shoppers on Amazon understand what it is and and can I find it there? That's the challenge we're trying to solve for. It's not a question of, it's not necessarily a question of chasing down a specific demographic. It's trying to understand our shopper buying behavior, and can we ensure that when they're thinking of a particular product that you offer, do they first think, oh, I should find that on Amazon, and here I'm going to make sure that the channels are open for me to find my way there. That's kind of the whole point that we're really seeing develop very rapidly, and that's what we're here to help you with. Okay, that being said, here is our version of the extremely ever-evolving customer journey as it relates to online channels. And so the exciting thing about us as well is we're an e-commerce store. We offer advertising and full fulfillment of that customer journey, which means that I think what I'm trying to show you here is not just that we offer awareness and consideration and the ability to purchase said product, but we can also reach, from an advertising perspective, we can reach users on every stage of this journey, whether they are, whether we're showing creative at the early stage of consideration of a particular type of product, or if they've purchased and we're re-messaging to them about alternative offerings that might help to coordinate with that, or if we're looking to build retention. We can reach users across all of these stages because we own such a comprehensive solution here. And that being said, we've got this is one of many proof points that we have around how our advertising products perform. What I would tell you is that, again, I came from, much like Angel, came from an advertising background. I worked at Microsoft on their paid search platform back in 2006 to 2011, worked with Group M for a number of years, selling a variety of different types of advertising products and services. What I'll tell you is that Amazon, particularly for endemic vendors and sellers, our advertising solutions work extremely well because, as they should. And so my challenge for you here is to, again, consider what we offer from the perspective of how it drives adoption of your products, but also consider and challenge us that they should perform well. If someone's looking for a toothbrush on Amazon and we're able to ensure that your product shows up first or more prominently, or we're able to build that consideration of your unique toothbrush, and then someone comes through to buy it, we should be able to show you how effective that was. And so that's really what we offer here. And it's may not sound, I think it's a very fundamental shift given everything that I've seen over the last 15, 16 years in how this market has really changed and adapted. So it's a lot of talking from me. I'm going to turn it over to Angel now to talk through specific ad products and really what we offer, but we're delighted to be with you today. If there are questions, I know we've got plenty of time for that, but we look forward to it, and we'll share email addresses at the end. Always happy to help anywhere and everywhere we can, okay?
Thank you, Alan. Okay, so moving into the next section of our presentation today, what I have prepared, as Alan mentioned, is a couple of slides on our Amazon advertising ecosystem. And what I really want to do, because I know that there's businesses from either like the non-endemic group and also in the endemic group, I'm going to try my best to provide examples and context of each app product that relates to these two types of businesses. And of course, if there's any questions, feel free to put them into the chat box. I think we have time later on in our discussion, to do some Q&A. I think before I dive into the slide and talk about the two different types of ad products that we have on Amazon, I think there's really two key takeaways that I want everyone to keep in mind when you're thinking about Amazon advertising products. I think the first thing is around being able to reach Amazon customers. So, as you know, every single day we have customers coming in and they're buying all sorts of different products, different departments, different categories. So you as a business owner or a marketer, you have the opportunity to tap into these customers. And we have the ability to cut and splice different types of customer behavior data so that you're really going after the most accurate and your most profitable customers. So I think that's point number one. Point number two is around reach. So within the industry right now, working with Amazon advertising, that's your only option to go and have ad placements on Amazon.ca or .com or anywhere other kind of markets within Amazon. So the reason why I point this out is because of the mindset that your customer is in when they're on Amazon. When you're on Amazon, you're most likely looking to shop. And so this is a very unique type of mindset that you're able to capitalize on because you know that your customers are in that shopping mindset. And therefore, if you're looking to convert them or really trying to drive a particular understanding of your brand or product, this is really the type of mindset to go after. So those are really the two key points to really keep in mind of. Of course, I love to, if you remember other stuff that I'm talking about, but those are the two key things. And really just diving into the slide here, I'm going to talk about the two kind of categories or pillars of ad products that we offer. And I'm going to start with the left-hand side, which is what we call search advertising. And if you're selling on Amazon right now, you're probably pretty familiar with this because it's within Vendor Central or within Seller Central, depending on the type of model that you're selling on. It's also called sponsor ads. And really, the search advertising piece is really meant for are endemic advertisers because of just the nature of the ad and where it lives. And so a little bit about the search advertising piece. If you take a look, I know it's a little bit faint, but there is a funnel that we've highlighted on the slide. It's really meant to be a lower funnel tactic. And the reason being is, if you are familiar with search advertising, they live within search result pages or within very deep into product detail pages. And so we're trying to capture customers who have that intent. And if we think about us as a customer, right, the reason why we're searching for anything on Amazon is because we have an interest or there's an intent to buy or shop something. So that's really the reason why, it's more of a lower funnel tactic. And the other call out here was search advertising is that it's on a cost per click model. So very similar to if you're working with Google right now on any Google search ads, you only pay when that customer is engaging with you. And it's quite intriguing and enticing, because if you're thinking about capturing your lowest hanging fruit, you really just want to go after that customer who's clicking and engaging with you. So, all in all, if you're an endemic advertiser looking to capture, customers who are actively shopping for you or similar products, search advertising is the way to go. Now, moving to the right-hand side with display advertising, as you can see in terms of that triangle, we're looking at a full funnel now. And the reason being is, if you take a look at just the visual of the types of ad products that we have, not only do we have banner ads, we have video ads, we have high impact such as sampling programs, being able to reach customers outside of Amazon. So there's a very big variety of placements that you can tap into for the display portion. The one call out, I think the key call out here is that with display advertising, it's available for both endemic and non-endemic. So whether or not you sell on Amazon, you have the ability to leverage display advertising, for the very reason that with display advertising, you tap into behavioral targeting. And maybe just to kind of go back one to the left-hand side a little bit on search advertising, just to kind of call it out. Search advertising is based on keywords, right? So you bid on a particular keyword. So for example, if you sell fertilizer, you definitely want to go after keywords or phrases with the word fertilizer in it, for example. But when it comes to display advertising, so going back onto the right-hand side, you're able to tap into behaviors of your customers. So as an example, anyone who's shopped your product in the last 30 days, anybody who shopped your brand or your competitor's brand or the category or the department, you have the ability to utilize display advertising and reach those customers. On a non-endemic standpoint, you can make inferences. So for example, if you're a media company, right, and maybe you don't sell on Amazon right now, but your core target is people who are, buying DVDs, for example, right? You now have the opportunity to find those customers and reach them through display advertising, even though, you don't sell on Amazon. The other call out here is that you have the ability to reach them on and off Amazon. So we have placements on Amazon, on Amazon.ca and .com. But let's say that, just using the fertilizer example again, that customer can't make a decision right now and they, go about their days and are off Amazon. You have the ability to reach that customer still, even though they're outside of our Amazon ecosystem. So that's also very enticing for advertisers, because we want to be able to stay relevant within their consumer journey. The last thing I'll say, and this is not a major call out, is that the buying model for display advertising is different. We sell it on a CPM basis, which is very on par with a lot of the other display partners that we have in the market, but just a quick call out so that you're able to understand the differences between search advertising and display advertising. Okay, so a little bit more around sponsor ads for the endemic group on the line. So there's 3 different types of sponsor ad products that we have. One of them is called sponsor products, sponsor brand is the other, and the last one's called product display ads. And now we've actually rebranded it to be called sponsored display. And to show you a quick example of how they look like, and I hope you guys can see it, because there you go. So I think just maybe as a general knowledge, right? If you're shopping on Amazon, whenever you see the word sponsored, it's a paid ad. So that there's probably a brand owner and advertiser that's truly trying to increase exposure of a particular product or brand. But let me just start kind of how it looks like and where you'll be able to see these sponsor ads. Starting with sponsor brand. So when you do any search right now on Amazon, chances are at the very top of the search result page, you'll see what we call sponsored brand. And the easiest way to identify it is that there's usually 3 different products or ASINs within the ad. So here's an example of a mouse company, a mice company. And to the left-hand side, you would be able to see a tagline or a message where the customer can click through and either go to a brand store or to a destination where it's like a more brand-specific search result page. And this usually lives at the very top of the page because the intention of this is to grab your customer's attention. So that's sponsored brand, and it's a great way for you to all at once within one placement be able to expose your customers to your hottest products or products that you really want to get a little bit more attention to. The second product is sponsored product, and this is to my understanding the product that a lot of advertisers are invested in right now for a reason that if you take a look at this example here with Cellucor, it really just looks like a regular product listing, and the intention of this is for your product to be at the very top of the search results. So if you don't run a sponsor ad right now, and if you're selling on Amazon, I encourage you to do this quick test, right? Where are you listed within the search result page? Are you, within the first page? Are you in the second page? Or if you're in the first page right now, what ranking are you? Are you in the 5th or the 6th? Or are you below the fold? All of this is a really good way for you to understand your exposure and visibility to your customer. Now with sponsored product, the intention of this is to push your product to the very top of the search result page so that when the customer searches for that keyword, the first maybe 2 or 3 or even above the fold, they're able to see your product. And in terms of performance, generally because of the nature of the ad, we tend to see really strong ROI performance on this ad. The last one is product display ads, or what we call sponsored display now. Currently in Canada, and if you're selling in the US or in other markets, you might hear different messaging, but in Canada specifically, they live within your product detail page. And if you're familiar with the term buy box, or really, there's a button that basically says add to cart or buy now, that's what we call the buy box. So sponsored display usually lives within or right below the buy box area. And the best way to think about sponsored display or PDAs is conquesting. So imagine your customer is looking at a competitor's product page right now. You want to be able to have a sponsored display ad to kind of get your customer's last attention. Be like, hey, before you add to cart or before you buy now, why don't you take a look at me, right? And so this is really your last call with any customers. And there's some very creative ways of how you can leverage sponsored display on Amazon. You can also use it as a cross-sell strategy in addition to conquesting. And so if you have any questions around this, let us know, and we can definitely chat more about it. Okay, display. So again, with display products, it's available for both endemic and non-endemic customers. So I'm going to try to provide examples on both. Let me start by talking about where you can reach your customer. So I talked about it briefly earlier around being able to reach that customer when they're outside of the Amazon ecosystem, but precisely where, right? So, on Amazon.ca, that's kind of a no-brainer. We all know that. We have the ability to reach that customer on homepage, search result pages, product detail pages, or even review pages. These are really the types of pages you can reach and engage that customer. Outside of that, we have what we call Amazon O&O. O&O stands for owned and operated. And these are websites that Amazon owns and have the rights to advertise on. So a couple of examples are Twitch. So if you have a male-skewed audience, loves video games, tech enthusiasts, Twitch is a great platform for you to advertise on. And if you have any questions, we have media kits around this, so we can definitely share with you more demographic and psychographic details around the Twitch audience, but really, really, really interesting platform because it's a community in itself. And I would say it's very rare for you to find a community like this outside of Twitch. The second one is IMDb. So if you have any entertainment-driven or clients or customers who are very interested in movies, entertainment, or celebrities, for example, IMDb is a great platform. So we also have the rights to advertise there. And then the last one is Goodreads. So female skewed, book-loving community. I personally love it because, you know, sometimes when I go on Amazon, I might be able to read reviews there, but I find the Goodreads community is so much more engaging. They leave really thoughtful reviews around the books that they've read. So Goodreads is also a very unique community that you can tap into that's more female driven. And then the last bucket is what we call the third-party inventory. So this is, think of it as if you were to run a quick ComScore poll today, these would be every single, all the top 250 websites within Canada and then some. But I think the call out here is that we're not just talking about the reach that we have, it's really about where your customer is. So, you know, if I were to use a fertilizer example again, if that customer has expressed interest in buying fertilizer on Amazon, and they're just doing some price matching, or they're just thinking about, you know, do I want to buy on Amazon, or what brand do I want to buy? The time that they're outside of Amazon right now is a pretty vulnerable time frame, because they can decide to not buy on Amazon, they can decide to not buy fertilizer altogether. And so by being able to reach that customer outside of the ecosystem, you have the ability to stay top of mind and be relevant in their consumer decision journey, their purchase decision journey. And I highly encourage you to think, you know, outside of the immediate sale, because there's, especially if you're an up and coming brand, there's only a finite amount of customers that know you right now. But by being able to kind of expand your reach and stay within that customer's journey, they may not know you the first time they see your ad or your brand on Amazon, but through engagement and just staying relevant in their journey, you really have a chance to interact with that customer. So really, I think that the third-party inventory, in my opinion, is a very, very kind of a good benefit for advertisers and brand owners. I just wanted to show you some examples of how they look like. So again, you know, you'll be able to reach them on Amazon, here's the quick, I know it's kind of small, but a quick screenshot of Goodreads, and then third-party inventory, which is basically any sites out of Amazon. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the two key types of placements that you can run through display advertising. One of them is display ads or banners, if you're more familiar with that term. If you're doing any marketing, digital marketing outside of Amazon right now, you're probably very familiar with this. One of the reasons why you want to run display banners is that you have the ability to, you know, be able to showcase your brand, have a little bit of messaging, and drive a call to action. So a couple of examples here. Here's an example on the screen. You know, you can put some verbatim on it. We do have some ads internally called dynamic e-commerce ads, which is an ad that Amazon, we can build for you. And you probably have seen it before, but it's a very simplistic ad where you show the product, you know, there's a product title, star rating, and then a button that says like add to cart or buy now. So, you know, I know that sometimes startups might have limitations on resourcing or designers. So if you are an endemic advertiser, I want to just offer an option where if you don't have existing creatives, display banners that you can run, we can definitely run create some ads for you and help you run through our display offering. With video ads, there's two different types of video ads. We have what we call in-stream and out-stream. The easiest way to think about it with in-stream is that it's embedded within an existing video. So think of if you were to watch, I think like YouTube would be a great example. So any pre-roll, post-roll, or mid-roll, those would be considered as in-stream video. So you have the ability to reach that customer before they're watching a specific content. And again, you know, I use an IMDb example here because, as you know, there's a lot of trailers that you can watch on IMDb. But through our network, so the third-party inventory that I was talking about before, we also have other video placements and reach that we can reach that customer through pre, mid, and post-roll. Here's another example with L'Oreal. So we have been working with a variety of different brands. And I think maybe if we, just to take a step back outside like the placements that we offer, the reason why you want to run video is education, right? If we were to compare the example that I had with Peloton just now versus this L'Oreal ad, right? With a video ad, you have the option to run 15 or 30-second ad. And during this time, you can talk a lot more about your brand. Be able to educate them on why you, right? why buy fertilizer, or why look at my company, right? These are really, it's a time that you can really engage with that customer and allow them to learn more about you. And I think if we were to think about, in any startup phase, this is a very critical engagement for you, because your brand may have not hit that critical mass yet. With display banner, just kind of a little bit about that role, people have different strategies behind it. It could be more of a quick, here's information about my brand, click through, go to my website to learn more. Or it could be more of a sequential type of strategy, where maybe that customer first saw your video ad, and then what we do afterwards is retarget that customer through a display ad, because they already engaged or know a little bit about your brand already. So there's many creative ways of kind of utilizing the two placements, but I would definitely say that with video ads, it's a great opportunity for you to further engage and educate that customer. A little bit about Outstream. So Outstream, here's an example. It basically lives independently from any video content. So I really like this example with Sabre here. It's a very unique ad that we offer on Amazon. It's called Amazon Video Ads, AVAs. And you can see it kind of looks like a hybrid, right? So to the right, there's a video ad, and then to the left-hand side, there's like a static display banner. So a little bit about this ad. It's meant to be very intrusive and intercept that customer. So as that customer is searching through Amazon, we want to be able to intercept and get that customer's attention. Maybe I'll use another word. I won't use the word intrusive, because there's a little bit of a negative connotation here. But what we do want is, we want to be able to get that customer's attention by having an autoplay option, and also giving them an option to learn more if they've watched that 5-second ad or 15-second ad, to click through and go to your website to kind of engage and learn further. And again, this is an example of a non-endemic, so we don't sell cars. So hopefully this could be a good thought starter for anyone who is not currently an endemic advertiser or not selling on Amazon in terms of the opportunities that you have. Okay, so in the beginning, I talked a little bit about the Amazon customer and why it's a unique value prop with Amazon advertising. So I'm going to spend some time here talking about the data and how we do that. I'll start by talking about attribution and our reach. So I think the best way to think about it is, if you live in a family and a household with a mom, a dad, a child, chances are you're sharing an Amazon account together. And there's a lot of really insightful data when it comes to, especially when it comes to family Amazon accounts, because you'll see them buy toys, you'll see them buy books, home products, or gardening products. And so through all of this data, we're able to infer that they're probably a household of 4 or 3. They probably have children at home, and they like to take care of their homes, for example, right? And so when we think about the attribution and having a very singular view, when we think about marketing opportunities, we have the ability to reach that same family, whether it's on mobile, tablet, desktop, so any type of devices. So, mom could be using her phone, dad could be using his tablet, kids could be on the laptop, right? And we have the ability to reach those customers, that family, through the variety of different devices. And, a little bit more about the reporting and the analytics, we have the ability to kind of attribute it through the different devices. So if the dad, was looking at fertilizer on his tablet, he has the ability we can retarget them on desktop, let's say, if he goes back onto other devices. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can reach those customers. So I'm going to use, maybe I'm going to use a parent example. So like maybe buying diapers, right? So if you're selling diapers on Amazon today, we have the ability to reach those customers through what we call an in-market targeting strategy, which means if that customer is currently shopping for other diapers right now, other brands, your brand or your products right now, through that data or that shopping signal, we can formulate and create what we call in-market targeting segment. And in my opinion, these are probably your most profitable customers because they're actively shopping, they're looking at similar products. So we really want to make sure that if we do move forward with a display opportunity, in-market targeting is really the first thing that we want to think about. The second type of targeting that we have is what we call contextual and categorical targeting. And think of this as being within the environment. So let me use a brick and mortar example. So if you walk into any store right now, chances are there's a baby section, right? So you physically walk to that part of the store. That's the same thing with Amazon. If you're clicking and going into the baby department, regardless of whether or not you've given us a previous signal that you're interested in shopping for baby products, we have the ability to reach you or that similar customer. So really within the environment. And then the last one is lookalike and similar product targeting. So let's say that there's a specific type of, if I sell diapers, maybe strollers would be a relevant product that we can target. So we can find customers who are shopping for strollers and try to pull them into my diaper brand. Another one could be, baby formula, could be another example. So, the point being here is that, with similar product targeting, we can go beyond the immediate product category that you sell in and broaden your reach so that, and they could still be very relevant customers to you, right? So thinking about buying strollers, they're definitely parents, they definitely have a baby at home, right? And you can increase your reach and traffic by going after a new segment outside of your own category. I'm just going to use a real quick example around non-endemic. So let's say that you are a tourism company, with in-market, you can basically find customers who are shopping for either travel books. That's a pretty strong signal. You can also find people who are buying luggages. You haven't traveled in a while, so I need some time to think about this. But these are two examples of customers who may be interested in tourism and potentially your tourism services. So that would be an example of how we can leverage in-market targeting. Contextual and categorical, it's very similar. We have a luggage subcategory within Amazon, so we have the ability to target them. And then I think like the one really interesting point about non-endemic with lookalikes, which I haven't talked about yet, is if we have a pixel on your website right now, not only are we able to retarget those customers through that pixel and reach them on Amazon and our networks, but we can find lookalikes. So you can actually learn a lot about your customer through this lookalike strategy, because we can take that pixel and match it back to different types of Amazon customers. The immediate opportunities, you can learn about who they are. So maybe they could be parents, they could be, travel enthusiasts, millennials, for example. But then from there, you can take all that data and take it one step further and use it for either in-market targeting or contextual targeting. So being able to think about, oh, okay, so millennials could be a great customer segment that we can go after, and we can now kind of expand our reach there beyond kind of the product shopping signals that we talked about earlier. Okay, now around the Amazon strategy. So a little bit more about the endemic group here. So, if you are selling on Amazon, I'm pretty certain that you've probably heard of sponsor ads and you're probably on sponsor ads already. I think the really important part to think about is at every given time, the amount of people who are actively searching for you is limited, right? So in order for you to really scale your business and grow on Amazon, we need to think about how do we reach more people. And throughout this entire presentation today, I've talked about display and its ability to reach customers through shopping behaviors. And really that's the intent, right? So when you leverage display opportunities, you can reach now approximately 10 times more customers, because you don't need to wait for that customer to search for you. And I think that's really important, right? Like if you're running sponsor ads right now, in order for your ad to show up, that customer needs to proactively search for you. But with display advertising, they could have been, doing their own thing, shopping the brands that they're interested in or related categories. And now we have the ability to really push your messaging to that customer. And so as a result, the reach that you can have is so much greater. And all of a sudden your opportunity on Amazon has grown significantly. So I think that's really something, and I really like this visual because it can really show you how much more reach and the opportunity size you're able to gain through, an activation of both strategies. And I think that, I just talked about it in the last slide, but really, it's not to say sponsor ads is better or display ads is better. They're really meant to work together. And I think that the best way I like to think about it is, if I'm just putting myself as an entrepreneur right now, and I'm selling a new brand, right? education and getting people to know my brand is very, very key. And so what I really want to do is have display tactics, whether it's video or static banners or hybrids by, the AVAs that I showed you, to reach those customers based on the fact that, they're shopping competitors, similar products or related categories, and get them to know who I am. And, if I'm endemic and I sell on Amazon, what I want to make sure is that I kind of carry that customer from the point of them knowing about me, being educated about me, interested in me. And if they come back to Amazon and search for me and actually want to make that conversion, because we have to recognize that, when people are on Amazon, that shopping mindset's there. They might not be there when it's through display, right? So when that customer does search for me on Amazon, I want to make sure that I have sponsor ads ready to go. I want to make sure that that's the only brand. My brand is the only brand that they see when they're searching for me. So I kind of like to think of it as kind of like an airtight strategy. So from the moment that you bring a new customer in all the way to the end in that conversion phase, you want to be able to have a very seamless and very tight journey. And also keep in mind that it's very possible that your competition might want to try to take that customer away from you as they're in that consideration phase. So that tightness, or being able to be present every single touch point that you have available for that customer is very, very crucial. Non-endemic wise, of course, we wouldn't be able to activate on sponsor ads, but similarly, we need to be thinking about pixel strategy. So bringing customers in through shopping behaviors or inferences that we've made, we want to be able to track and be able to understand, okay, maybe the first touch point that they have, they're just learning about me. Second touch point, they're diving deeper and looking at the product benefits or service offerings I have. And then the last touch point potentially is a call to action, maybe either booking an appointment or going to your website today and making that purchase. So again, we have the ability to have an end-to-end approach when it comes to display opportunities for non-endemic advertisers. The last thing I want to talk about is just some additional metrics around if you were to implement a synergized approach with sponsor ads and display. Not only are you expanding your sales opportunity, there are some what we call retail metrics or software metrics that you can also measure off from. One of them is called branded search. And the way that branded search is a very Amazon term. So the non-Amazon term would be unaided recall. So, does that customer need to think about, see you, for example, in order for them to search for you? Branded search from a synergized approach between sponsor ads and display, we've seen it to increase by 140% because, that customer knows you, educated about you so that they don't even need to see you anymore and they can proactively search for you on Amazon. The other one is what we call earned media. I can spend hours talking about earned media, but the best way to think about it is that Amazon is a big system. And so inputs really matter. And, if you think about, the test I talked about earlier about searching for your brand right now and seeing where you are ranked within that search result page, that's an example of earned media, right? Organic reach. So based on the traffic, the sales, and different types of inputs that you have on Amazon, the exposure, the natural or organic exposure that you have on Amazon also either positively or negatively changes. When you do run sponsor ads and display synergies, when you have that good overlap, we have seen that because you have more traffic and more qualified traffic, actually, in terms of earned media, we have seen at least a 90% increase in earned media. So there's kind of like extra impressions that you can gain out of it beyond the paid advertising piece that you can kind of benefit from by running these type of strategies. Okay, that's all I have for today. I think just to kind of quickly recap, right? So, the two key points I want everyone to kind of take away from my part is, being able to reach qualified Amazon customers through their shopping behaviors or search behaviors, and then just the unique reach, right? So being able to capture that customer when they're on Amazon really is a very strong signal that they're in that shopping mindset. So, when you're looking at conversion or really trying to capture a very profitable or someone that's ready to buy type of customer, that's something that I think marketers and brand owners should really keep in mind of. With that, I'm gonna pass it over to Kelsey because I think there might be some questions in the chat box. So we can take the time now to answer any questions you might have. And in addition, I'm going to leave Alan and my email here. So if there's any questions that you want to take offline, or you want to, or any opportunities that you want to discuss, feel free to email us. And to Alan's point, we can either kind of help you address directly, or we can pass you to the right contacts within our team to kind of get things going. Okay, Kelsey, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thanks, Angel. Thank you so much to both of you and Alan both. It's been really insightful. And I mean, personally, my background is a bit, marketing and advertising heavy. So I even learned quite a bit today. So yeah, we did have a couple questions pop into the chat that we can go over now with the little bit of time that we have left. Luke asks if he could learn more about the sourcing products from US program that Alan mentioned. Alan, how could Luke or anyone listening learn more about the sourcing products from the US program?
I think you're talking about, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
You never know if you demute after 30 minutes if you're going to work again. Luke, I believe you're talking about when I mentioned North American Fulfillment Network. And so essentially, just to give you a bit more background on what this means is we have, the way Amazon functions is if there are organizations, let's just take Bosch Power Tools as an example. They sell products in the States as well as in Canada. And so sometimes Amazon may take the approach of sourcing and shipping product from the US if there is a particular demand and we don't have it within Canadian warehouses. So it's more of a function of necessity. And so I think, Luke, maybe this is something we can take offline and discuss more about how that process occurs rather than how do you establish yourself as part of it. It's really more of a function of necessity than it is of me as a vendor going to Amazon and figuring out an efficient way of selling within both locales.
I think Luke's still in the chat. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
he has a couple other questions. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump in real quick. So NAFN, I have a lot of advertisers and brand owners that are on NAFN. I think the easiest way, and I couldn't see I wanted to open the chat box actually. The way to think about it is it should be a convenience tool. So if you are currently selling in the US right now, headquartered in the US, and you want to expand into either Canada or Mexico, this program called NAFN or NARC for sellers is to not have to open a separate account for Canada or Mexico, and you can just run it through one account and basically distribute to the two countries. That's really kind of the root of it. There's kind of pros and cons though for this program, as Alan mentioned, because there are times where you want to have a separate account because you have better control over inventory and pricing. And then there's also times where you just, based on resourcing, you want to keep it within one account so that it's easier for you to manage, and sometimes even will work out better for you from a cost perspective. So yeah, like we can definitely take it offline and we can chat more about your specific example or your situation. But yeah, that's kind of just wanted to give you some extra context because I have a lot of advertisers that are on this program.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so there's a couple other questions in here that we can run over for anyone else who still has a second to stay on the call. But just in respect of time, I'll let everyone know we're going to send a survey and a follow-up email out that'll have some information to get in touch with Angel and Alan here, and just some feedback if we can get it from you as to how we're doing with sessions like these, if you liked this session. Yeah, and it'd be great if you could answer that there. But yeah, we can, if Alan and Angel, if you have a couple minutes, there's a couple more questions we have here if you have time. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Luke also wants to know, do you have to be brand registered to utilize display advertising?
I can take that. Okay. No, you don't have to. So brand registry is actually a separate program outside of advertising, although I highly encourage to participate in brand registry. One of the biggest benefit that you have with being brand registered is that you have control over your product listing pages. So let's say that, currently you, depending on the size of the brand, maybe like you're not selling in the US, but you have a Canadian customer who bought your products and then, you know, opened a seller account in the US and start selling it. With brand registry, you have the ability to control those brand pages so that you can make sure from a marketing standpoint, branding perspective, you're very consistent. Feel free to reach out to us and we can send you a link with kind of the detailed services for brand registry. But I would highly encourage, if you're thinking about selling on Amazon in the long term, brand registry is definitely a best practice and you should definitely get on it. But the answer is no, you don't need to have brand registry to run display advertising.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we have one more question that's on here. So how can an endemic advertiser utilize the Amazon Pixel?
To use an Amazon Pixel, it's actually a very good question, very technical question. So when you run a campaign with us, to basically pick up Amazon shopping behaviors, there's no pixel required. This is all done on our side, and we know, you know, what they're shopping for, and we can bucket them already. We do have what we call an Amazon Pixel, which basically we would send it to you, and we can plop it into your own website. And basically, if any customers go into your website to learn about your product, let's say you're not currently e-commerce enabled, we can basically match that back to lookalike. So what type of Amazon customers are going to your website, and then use that to target within our display opportunities. So that would be kind of one strategy of how you can utilize it. Beyond that, depending on, you know, I've seen some other advertisers do this. Let's say you have a very exclusive partnership with another website, and, you know, they allow you to place a pixel within their creative, the creative that you're running on that website. That's another way for you to match it back to lookalikes on Amazon customer. But that is a little bit more complicated because you have to make sure that you have clearance with the other partners that you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Cool. We got a nice message from Luke here too. So he just said, excellent presentation, best Amazon presentation he's seen so far. So thank you so much again to you, Alan and Angel. And I think we'll call it a day today, but yeah, we'll send a follow-up, and I'll be in touch with all of you here. So thank you so much.
Thanks everybody. This is great. And
Thank
Kelsey,
you.
thank you for all your help in coordinating this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right. Have a good day, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.